Hey guys. That's my phone going off. I guess I need to stop it if I'm gonna do this right. Welcome to Taylor Talks. I don't know what Taylor's gonna talk about a majority of the time. However, I'm just going to start this vlog. My intention behind it is to give love and healing and manifestations. That's really just it. I just want this to be a place to be able to share. I'll do some live videos or whatever. I have people come talk about whatever. But today is just the beginning of, I'm going to try not to make this video really long. I don't want to. But today is Let Go. I'm going to share. I do own the rights to this music. I'm just going to kind of lead in with this. Today is a day of letting go. It is October the 31st, 2020. This has been a really long year for a lot of people. It's been a beautiful year. For some, it's been heartbreaking and hard, and it's been a sense of struggle because of the perception or whatever your reality may be. I am going to share with you just a little of what has been going on with me since the end of 2013. This is year 7, and it is the year of completion, or 7 is the number of completion. And so I have not shared any of this publicly with any of it. And so now I think that it's time to share, because it's time to let go. I was going to write a book, but I've chosen not to. But the things that I'm going to share is just what has happened over the past 7 years and to this point of right now. And I'm sharing my story for 2 reasons. I was watching a movie, and the movie said, I don't even know what the name of the movie was, I can't remember, but this guy was going to tell a story, and they kept trying to get him to tell this story, and he was like, no, I can't, I have to wait, because when I tell the story, then it's released and it's gone, and I can't ever tell it again. It's then that it's shared. It does what it's supposed to do. It's an energy thing, and then it's time to let it go. And so now, the things that I'm about to speak of, I probably will never speak of again. 2, I have held on to this because I have been afraid to share it. But everything in me has been telling me to share it because it can help and it can heal. And so we go through things not to hold on. We have information not to hold on to it, but to let it go and to give it away, because it may help other people to heal. It may help other people to move forward. People who may be struggling and going through the same thing, it may help them to have a sense of clarity and peace, to know that they are not alone. Because through a lot of this, I felt very, very alone. Although I had people around me that loved me, but I had to go through it alone in a very different way in order to get to this place now. So I'm just gonna go back to November of 2013. It was Thanksgiving weekend. It was the weekend that I decided to leave my husband. We had been together for 13 years. And it was over. Over the course of a year after I left, my daughter and I, we left and we were in Atlanta at the time. We moved back to Chattanooga. I still don't really know how it affected her. But just, I know that it did. Because it affected me. I thought you think that you deal with things in a certain way, but they really affect you completely different. This had been my partner for 13 years. My partner for 13 years. We grew up together. There are things that I went through with Ed that helped me to grow, that helped him to grow. We have come to a place of healing, and I'm grateful for that. But I left, and we moved. Shelby and I, we went to Chattanooga, and I got it in. Probably about 4 or 5 months after, I realized you are free. Like, you're no longer in a relationship. I had a lot of sex. A lot. And I did it it was almost, okay, well, the song went off. But sex was my way to find my power back. At least that's what I thought. I had sex, and I would not think anything else of you. I would just kind of put you off to the side, and it just was so transformative for me to kind of find my place back as a woman, as a single woman, as a woman that now is independent. It was an amazing time. I wouldn't take it back. It was great. So, but in that time, my daughter, she went through some things. We both went through some things together that probably changed the course of our relationship. I ended up moving to Nashville. After that, I got a job. I moved December of 2014. The end of December 14th, 2014. My life was about to change in ways I never thought would happen. I went through an existential crisis. I think I had already started it, but when I got to Nashville, that was it. I met Jasmine, and I met Ginger, and I met Jason, and I became a series of things just started to happen. The main thing that happened, and every time I think about it, it's like a freaking story. Like it's almost unbelievable. I'm not gonna go into. We would be here. I would have to do a whole nother video on what transpired. But I'm just gonna give you the importance of it. I ended up. I just think about it. It was just like a story. It's crazy as hell. But I ended up meeting someone, and energy is a really big thing. I ended up meeting someone in my life. The course of my life changed. I ended up one day. This was March 21st, 2015. I found myself in jail due to a DUI from hitting a pole. I don't remember any of it. I wasn't drunk that I knew of. There was a whole thing that took place that transpired before that. That I ran into someone that I knew, and everything in me told me not to deal with this person. Everything in me was like, don't fuck with this. Don't. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep it without cussing, because y'all know I'm a cusser. But everything in me was like, don't fool with this person, don't fool with this person, don't fool with this person. I was in such a vulnerable space at that time that I just didn't listen to myself. Like, I didn't trust myself. I was at this bar, and everything, it's a lot transpired. I really wish I could tell you guys the whole story. We'd be here all day. Um, but I ended up, I believe, drugged, and I may have been sexually assaulted. I did get a rape kit done, which she did say that she saw. It looked as if somebody had tried to penetrate me anally, but she didn't write it down. But some kind of way, I ended up. I had a pole. I do not remember any of it. The last thing that I remember was being at another club, taking a shot of tequila that this man gave me, who I knew, you know, gave me a shot of tequila, and I don't remember anything after that. I only had a couple of drinks before that. That was earlier in the night. So if I did drink after that, I do not remember. Um, but I took a shot of tequila, and I don't remember anything. Next thing I know, that there was somebody, like there was a silhouette of someone, and I looked up, and I don't remember. I vaguely remember the police. I don't remember driving my car. I don't remember getting in the car. I don't remember any of it. And for a long time, that bothered me. Like I was like, I hit this pole, and the only thing I could do was just be grateful that I didn't kill myself or I didn't kill anyone else. It was on a very busy street in Nashville that is always busy. This happened at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. But all of that, like it's almost as if everything that happened was spiritual, just because of all the other people that were involved in it. Like it's crazy. I was told that the angels pulled me out. You know, I don't. It's crazy. I don't know. But I did fight it. I fought it for 3 years because the only thing that I wanted to do was tell my story. I was like, something happened to me. I don't know what it was, but I'm gonna fight this. I ended up, over a course of 3 years, spending almost $10,000 trying to get out of it. I eventually was convicted because my attorney, I ended up going through with 2 attorneys, but the female attorney that I had, who I told my story, she was like, I got you, you know, the DA, they're gonna let this go when they get the medical records, when they interviewed him, all this stuff. But then her energy shifted, and I saw a lot about the legal system and how all of that worked. But it worked out the way that it was supposed to. Went through it for 3 years. I tried to fight it. They know what to do. But I just was in such a vulnerable place. I had a lot going on with my daughter, Shelby. It was crazy. But just to say, I ended up pleading guilty. They give you 2 charges once you're indicted. They give you DUI, they give you DUI per se. But the DUI is, you know, what happened. The DUI per se is, it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter. You still blew a .8. So I knew once, and she didn't tell me what I was being convicted of, but when I found it out and I figured it out, I was like, if we had went to trial, I probably would have won this. But that's not what it's about. It's all about money. And I learned that really quickly. But I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for all of it. My friends, my sisters were amazing to me during that time. I'm going to back up just a little bit, but I ended up in Nashville. There were some things that happened. I'm not going to tell my daughter's story. It's for her to tell. But there were some things that ended up with her where she ended up not being in my home. Or she we kind of, you know, she left, or she didn't come back, let me put it that way. And so I found myself, it was just being me. And this was, the wreck happened March 2015. This happened 2016. This had been a year. And my cousin called me, and there was a young lady who needed a place to stay. Her contract was up in Dallas, and so she needed somewhere to stay in Nashville. No, in Atlanta. Her contract was up in Atlanta. So she came and she stayed with me because she got a contract in Nashville. And I got a phone call from my dear sister, Alicia, in Augusta. At the time she was in Atlanta. And she was like, Taylor, you know, she knew what I was going through because I was still fighting this whole DUI thing. And still trying to figure out being single. And still trying to figure out, you know, going through all this stuff with my daughter. And she offered me the gift of a lifetime. And she said, why don't you come stay with me and figure it out? Like, just come stay with me. You don't have to pay any bills. You don't have to do anything. Just come stay with me, figure it out. Well, by the time I agreed to do that, she was in Augusta. So July 2016, end of June 2016, I gave everything away that I owned. Let me back up. I ended up going to Jamaica too, which was life-changing. February of 2016, I went to Jamaica, and completely, Spirit was like, go to Jamaica. And in 2 weeks, I didn't know where I was going, but I ended up being in the mountains with Rastafarians, and it was just an amazing experience. I was ready to move there. Like, it was crazy, but I just had to throw that in there. I was there for my 40th birthday. It was transformative. Oh my God, it was amazing. So then, fast forward to July of 2016, Alicia, I moved to Augusta. Still going through an existential crisis. If you don't know what an existential crisis is, it's a what the fuck is the point of any of this, where you question everything. And when I tell you that thought and going through that, I couldn't function, because all I could think was, what is the point? Anytime something happened, anytime I had a thought, anytime there was something, I was like, what is the point of any of this? Like, we're all gonna die. And a lot of you who have, been my friend on Facebook has seen a lot of my posts, has seen a lot, but all of it was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't get it. Like, we all gonna die. Like, none of this is real. Like, if the lights went out tomorrow, we all be trying to figure out how we're gonna survive. Like, forget like, it was crazy. So while I'm going through all this, I'm going through an existential crisis too. Everything that I had ever believed, I questioned. Everything that I was ever told, I didn't believe it anymore. I questioned it. And so I would wake up in this, I don't know what the point, but I got a job at Earthbound. I took a break from life. I got a job at Earthbound in the mall at Augusta. Being in Augusta for that year and a half, I was like in this bubble. And I was able to heal. Alicia gave me the space to be able to heal. I went down and I ended up helping her with her boys. But I will always be grateful for her. And then I ended up meeting Cher, and I met Damien, and just so many other people, Marcus, and the people that we worked with at Earthbound, and Sarah. And it was transformative. Brian, I would go watch him play. I ended up buying a bass guitar and was going to learn how to play the bass guitar. And just in my time there, I started to heal. Like, the real healing process took place, although I was still going through this whole thing with this DUI. So, got to Augusta, went through Augusta, ended up getting a phone call from Stacy in Chattanooga saying, hey, Taylor, you want to come back to Chattanooga? And, there's a job here. So I went back to Chattanooga. I got a 1-bedroom apartment because I refused. I said, Shelby cannot come back. Now, let me say this. In the midst of all of what's going on with this, I was having heart issues. I had anxiety attacks just through the midst of this entire DUI thing. Like, it was crazy. Like, it really took me for a loop. And all of it, I felt like I was going through by myself. Even though my sisters were there for me, people had lives. They just couldn't be with me 24 hours. So there were a lot of nights that I laid in in the bedroom at Alicia's house, and I just cried. And my heart felt like it was about to break in a million pieces, and I was hyperventilating. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I ended up back in Chattanooga. But during all this time, Shelby is all over the world. Like, I didn't know where she was. So here it is, I don't know where my child is. I'm going through this DUI, just all this crazy stuff. So I get back to Chattanooga. I get a 1-bedroom apartment. I have never lived alone. I've never lived on my own because I always was married. Somebody was living with me. I was always living with somebody, or somebody was living with me, or Shelby was with me. So I never lived on my own. So I got this little 1-bedroom apartment in East Ridge, and I started working. And shout out to Chris, my childhood friend. He was there for me while I was in Chattanooga. Stracy and I got closer. I just started having all these amazing connections. So fast forward to that July, and I get a phone call from Shelby. Mama and shit. This time Shelby had moved back to Augusta. We had been through some things. She finally got her in school. Then there was something that happened within our family that rocked everybody's world, and so everybody was dealing with that. She really, really, really was dealing with that. But I get a phone call with that June, July, and here she is telling me that she is pregnant. And I'm like, what you gonna do? Because I had my little 1-bedroom apartment and I was gonna live my best life. But I always knew in the back of my head that she would be back. So she's like, Mom, I'm pregnant. I was like, okay, just come on home. I could not leave her there with Alicia and her boys. So I just told her to come on back home. So she came back and we stayed in this 1-bedroom apartment until December. It was rough. Just because of where she and I both were. So it was a little hard. It was a little hard for both of us to adjust and to have to deal with that. So then fast forward to March when Jordan came. Jordan's changed everybody's life. You've probably seen pictures of him. He is one of the sweetest humans I have ever met in my life. Just so full of love and everything. So Shelby was with me. Up until October of last year, I was working at Woodmore. There's a lot of other stuff that has happened in between all of this, but I'm just giving you the abbreviated stuff. But so I was working at Woodmore. I ended up losing my job. They abolished my position. That is actually the word that they use. And so I had to start looking for another job. So I'm looking for a job everywhere, and I ended up back in Atlanta. And I left Shelby and Jordan in Chattanooga. I want to kind of back up to really why I'm making this video. I mean, that's a lot of it. A lot of it I need to talk about. I need to talk about the DUI. I needed to I really wish I could talk about Shelby and I, but like I say, I don't want to put that out. But I also want to talk about my dating experience within these 7 years and how it has affected me. I received an email 3 days ago from a guy that I dated. I guess you could say we dated. We were very, very connected. However, I was the type of person that wanted to fix and heal everybody because there were things within myself that I didn't want to sit and fix and heal. So here I am fixing and healing all these other people. So I met this man shortly after. He was one of the first people that I met when I started dating again, and I met him on a dating site. And we spent a lot of time with each other. The first time that we really spent time with each other, we spent like a week together, and he was really broken. And I was doing my life coaching thing and all this other stuff. But I always felt within that friendship, within that relationship or whatever, it was always about him. It was all, and I constantly gave, and I didn't receive a quarter of that back. And that's not any of his fault. I don't blame him because I allowed all of it. I take complete responsibility for it. However, I had chosen, as I've grown, because this was 6 years ago, as I've grown, I made the decision to, just kind of let some things go. I've lost people that I never thought I would lose, in this whole process in these past 7 years, like girlfriends and friends and people I thought would be there forever. And the very first person that it happened with, I know I'm like all over the place, but the very, very first person it was somebody who I'd known since I was in the 4th grade, and she decided she didn't want to be my friend anymore at 38. And it was hard, but I also learned in that people do not have to have you in their life. They don't, they may not mean as much, you may not mean as much to them as they do to you, and they have a choice as to whether or not they want you in their life. I could have been toxic to her. That's what she told me. So she told me, she didn't use the word toxic, but for whatever reason, she didn't want me in her life. I was devastated. However, I started to learn the art of detachment and not to attach myself to anything, because everything can go. And everything is temporary. Let me go back to this man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off track. I was going to uproot my life to go help him with his business. I was going to do all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And it was always, it never was an equal exchange. And so I decided not to deal with him anymore. However, I did not have a conversation with him. So guess what Taylor was doing? Taylor was holding on to all this stuff. Holding on to all of it. And he sent me an email on an old email because I blocked him everywhere. But he sent me an email and was just like, I just want to know that you're okay. I picked up the phone, called court, we spoke. Of course, everything was about him and what's going on with him. And I was triggered. And things that I thought had been healed, all that shit came up. And Alicia just so happened to text me, and I went off. And I'm not gonna go through all the relationships or or the people that I was connected to that I've had these similar experiences with, but all of them came up to the forefront. Even men that are currently in my life, and all of this stuff just started coming up, and I just completely went off. And I cried and I screamed and I yelled, and fuck all y'all came out after every single. Alicia was so funny. She was like, "You're gonna have a monologue after Just Not Mad." I used to make a song to it, but all that stuff came up. But I'm gonna tell you something. I was like, for a day, I went through purging all of this, and I woke up like with this sense of peace. But it actually started 2 weeks ago when I got sick, because I got sick 2 weeks ago. But it all started with, I'm here, I'm sick, I'm by myself, and I feel like I'm by myself. Like there's nobody even to bring me any soup. Like nobody. And I wasn't playing victim, but it just, a lot of stuff started to come up for me. Like maybe, this is here to show you that you have everything in you to do everything else that it is that you're supposed to do. And you having wanted, at some point, wanting a partner in the back of your head, thinking that having a partner, because I had one for 13 years, is going to make this better. And holding on to all this stuff I didn't think I was holding on to. Like I thought I was good, because I was lying to myself. Straight up lying to myself. And it all said, bitch, no, you can keep lying if you want to, but this is what it really is. And all of it came up. But today, I am so good, and I have forgiven myself for everything that I created, because I created it all. And by me just pushing it up under the rug and thinking that I was good, and having to look at my patterns with men and with my friendships and with everything else that has been in my life, it all came up. And I just decided to do a video and just put it out, to release it and to completely let it go, so that I can start this, whatever this new chapter is. Because for 7 years, this energy has been here. It's been this energy. And I'm deciding today that it's gone. I'm deciding to focus on what I do have. The people that are in my life that do love me, that are here for me. The people that I love. I'm focusing on that and not giving any more energy into what I think I want, or what I the control, or what I don't, what I'm trying to control, or how I'm trying to control or manipulate a situation or people or whatever, because this is what I feel that I need, when in all actuality it isn't. All because I'm butthurt because of the way somebody treated me, the way that I allowed them to. So I had to make the decision and say, it ain't got shit to do with y'all. But on a cellular level, I was extremely hurt. Like, I was extremely traumatized. So the DUI, Shelby, they're 4 people. I'm letting it go today. On October the 31st, 2020, it's a blue full moon. The energy's in Scorpio. There was a storm that just came through. My lights were off for 2 days. And I live in a super scary place. I would not stay here by myself. Like, there are trees and everything all around me. Thank Lori Miller. I love you. If you see this, Lori took me in and took care of me for the past 2 days. And I needed that energy. But I want to thank all of my sisters, Jasmine and Ginger and Tracy and Monique and Lori and Stacy, Alicia, my sisters, Saina, thank you for being there when I needed you. For my homeboys, for the men that are in my life, Ed and Chris, Jack, for the people who I can pick up the phone and call and know that y'all got my back. Thank you. I know it's plenty of other people out there. These are just the people that are in my immediate circle. I'm grateful, and I have to stay in a place of gratitude instead of in a place of lack. So I challenge you to do the same. All the stuff that you're holding on to, I'm just sharing this to encourage you. All the stuff that you are holding on to that no longer serves you, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it come up. Because it's going to come up either way. You're going to have to deal with it either way. You're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to. You're going to have to deal with it, because this shit is going to come up. So don't suppress it. I'm so grateful. Today will be the last time I speak about any of this. Because it's over and it's done. And I refuse to sit in this energy anymore. I'm deciding to get out of it. Because this isn't, it served its purpose. I've grown, I've evolved. And I'm grateful. I encourage you to do the same. If you see this, you watch it in its entirety, thank you for watching. You can share it. Thank you for watching. I'm just putting it out. Whoever hears it, hears it. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. But I just had to share so that I could let it go. And so that it could hopefully help somebody else. I love you. I will be back with another Taylor Talk. But I love you. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Have a great day.